Over the top? No, we had no over the top rules. We were totally reasonable, thoughtful parents who made solid decisions at every turn.
Imagine being a child star loved by millions, only to grow up bullied by co-stars, cheated out of fortunes, stalked by strangers, and nearly broken by the very industry that made you famous. This is the real story of Ron Howard. For decades, he kept Hollywood's darkest secrets buried. Near-death accidents, lawsuits, betrayals, and threats that almost destroyed him. But now, for the first time, Ron Howard finally breaks his silence about the torment he faced on the set of American Graffiti. Torment led by none other than Harrison Ford. The truth? It's not good. This is the untold truth about America's favorite director, and the shocking confession about Harrison Ford that changes everything we thought we knew. Ron Howard was born on March 1, 1954, in the small town of Duncan, Oklahoma. His father, Rance Howard, and his mother, Jean Howard, were both actors struggling to survive. In 1958, when Ron was just 4 years old, they packed everything they owned into a car and drove to California chasing a dream. They ended up in a tiny house in Burbank, barely hanging on. What they didn't know was that this risky move would change not just their lives, but the future of Hollywood itself. At just 18 months old, Ron's father brought him onto the set of the film Frontier Woman. The production needed a baby for a short scene, and Rance volunteered his son. That brief moment, a baby crawling across the screen, was the start of something much bigger. By the time Ron was 5, he was performing in plays and films. But his parents refused to sign long-term contracts before he was ready, even when they were broke. That choice nearly ruined them financially, but it protected Ron from the exploitation that destroyed so many child stars. In 1959, Ron landed a role in The Journey. For the first time, his name appeared in film credits. But Hollywood wasn't kind to the little red-haired boy. Crew members mocked his freckles and hair, calling him a freckle-faced freak. His father once nearly lost his own job defending him. The cruelty of the industry had already begun. Then came the role that would define his childhood, Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show. In 1960, at just 6 years old, Ron beat out more than 300 other kids to play the son of Andy Griffith. The series became a massive hit, airing for 8 years and 249 episodes. Viewers loved the wholesome father-son bond, and Ron became a symbol of innocence for millions of Americans. Behind the scenes, life was more complicated. Andy Griffith became Ron's mentor, teaching him acting, sharing stories, and treating him with respect. But Andy also battled drinking and anger, sometimes exploding on set. For young Ron, it was both inspiring and frightening. In 1962, during the filming of a fishing scene, Ron nearly drowned when the boat tipped over. With no safety rules in place, his life was in danger until Andy leapt into the water and pulled him out. The producers hushed up the accident, but it left a permanent mark. From that moment, Ron vowed that if he ever directed, safety on set would come first. When The Andy Griffith Show ended in 1968, Ron was 14 years old. Instead of riding his fame into bigger roles, he found doors slamming shut. Casting directors only saw him as Opie. For 2 years, he went to audition after audition, more than 50 in total, and was rejected. He played minor roles in Gentle Ben and The Smith Family, but his career felt stuck. By 1971, he was delivering newspapers to earn money. Things changed in 1973 when he landed a role in American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas. On paper, it looked like the breakthrough he desperately needed. But behind the scenes, Ron was tormented by co-stars Harrison Ford and Paul Le Mat, who bullied him relentlessly. They threw bottles at his car, spiked his drinks, and locked him in trailers, taunting him with cries of, "Dance, Opie, dance!" Ron endured it in silence, later calling it his only experience of Opie shaming. Even when the film became a blockbuster, earning $115 million on a budget of just $777,000, Ron was cheated. He earned only a flat $10,000 fee. When he asked George Lucas for just 1% of the profits, worth over $1 million, Lucas refused. The rejection and humiliation cut deep, but just a year later, in 1974, Ron found himself back in America's living rooms as Richie Cunningham in Happy Days. At first, the series drew 11 million viewers and made Ron the face of 1950s nostalgia. But within 2 years, the character Fonzie, played by Henry Winkler, stole the spotlight. ABC executives even considered renaming the show Fonzie's Happy Days. Ron fought back, threatening to quit, and after fan backlash, the title remained the same. Still, resentment grew. Winkler earned 3 times Ron's salary, and other cast members grew jealous of his screen time. Tensions boiled over, lawsuits later followed, and friendships were nearly destroyed. Tired of being sidelined, Ron turned to something else, directing. His short film Deed of Daring Do won festival attention, and in 1977 his feature debut Grand Theft Auto, made for $600,000, grossed $15 million by 1980. Ron made a bold decision. He quit Happy Days while it was still pulling in 20 million weekly viewers. He walked away from guaranteed money and fame to chase his dream of directing full-time. Fans were stunned, but Ron knew it was the only way forward. The gamble paid off. His early directing career brought hits like Splash in 1984, which made Tom Hanks a star, and Cocoon in 1985, which won Academy Awards. But success came at a cost. On the set of Cocoon, Ron received death threats from a disgruntled extra. The studio spent $150,000 on 24-hour security to protect him. On Backdraft in 1991, a fire stunt went horribly wrong, injuring Kurt Russell and several crew members. OSHA investigations followed. In 1995, Ron directed the epic Apollo 13, starring Tom Hanks. It earned $355 million, but production nearly collapsed when Hanks demanded script rewrites and shut down filming, costing millions. In 1996, during the making of Ransom, Ron's family received terrifying letters threatening to kidnap his children. The FBI stepped in, but no arrests were ever made. The 2000s brought even more challenges. Jim Carrey shoved Ron during a meltdown on the set of The Grinch. Russell Crowe threw tantrums during A Beautiful Mind, which still went on to win Best Picture and earned Ron his Oscar for Best Director. Then came his most controversial film, The Da Vinci Code, in 2006. Religious groups worldwide protested, the Vatican denounced it, and Ron received bomb threats. Yet despite the uproar, the film grossed over $760 million. Even as his career soared, lawsuits followed him everywhere. A plagiarism claim over Parenthood cost him $500,000. A stunt driver sued after being injured filming Rush. Refugees sued over the film The Good Lie, claiming their stories were used without fair pay. Each case left scars on Ron's reputation. At home, Ron found stability in his family. He had married his high school sweetheart, Cheryl Alley, in 1975. Hollywood gossip often suggested their marriage was in trouble, but the couple weathered every storm. In 2025, they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, recreating their very first date in the same old VW Bug they had driven as teenagers. His daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, became a star in her own right, openly confronting the Nepo baby label and admitting the privilege she inherited. Some criticized her, others respected her honesty, but she followed her father's footsteps into directing and acting. By 2025, Ron had seen it all. He had survived bullying from Harrison Ford, lawsuits, threats, clashes with George Lucas, Tom Hanks, and Jim Carrey, and criticism from the Vatican. He had endured scandals, betrayals, and tragedies. Yet through it all, he remained one of the most successful and beloved filmmakers in Hollywood history. From Opie Taylor to Academy Award-winning filmmaker, Ron Howard has proven that survival is its own kind of greatness. His story reminds us that resilience can outshine even the darkest trials. If you were inspired by this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories that deserve to be heard. Thanks for watching.